to our discussion for the day. The security situation in Imo State, southeast Nigeria. In the last 3 years, communities in Orsu local government have been plagued with killings, rape, arson and kidnapping by criminal elements who are reported to be members of IPOB and the Eastern Security Network. Report says more than 300 lives have been lost, with over 100 property, including government-owned infrastructure, destroyed. But how can this be stopped? What are the necessary measures to be taken by government and individuals to curb the menace in the southeast, particularly in Imo State? The head media and publicity of Odemma Orsu initiative, Ezeh, joins me now on the program right here in the studio. Good to have you join us at this time.
Thank you very much, Ambassador, and thank you for having me.
Right, so give us a background to this crisis.
Well, thank you once again for the platform to talk about this. We expected this much earlier, and we appreciate the platform. In Orsu local government, earlier when your introductory notes, you said 3 years. Well, it's heading towards 5 years now. When this started in Orsu local government, it's been hell, in that local government. From 2020, it's got from bad to worse. Now, some said it started with, the entrance of the structure of the ESN and IPOB into our community, to domicile there. We understand that this was something they tried to do in Obibo in Rivers State that was vehemently resisted, but they found solace in, the topography of the forest arrangements there, the valley, and they arranged themselves there as the supreme headquarters for their operations. And it became like the statement we put out today. There was a World Press Conference earlier today. We put out some of these things, the story out there. It became very terrible because at some point, even the existing security structure, the vigilante were disbanded by these elements. The community leadership was taken over. So many things, a lot of criminality going on, killings, destruction of properties, infrastructure, government infrastructure, and the likes. Now, it degenerated. It continued for a long time, over time, and like I said, went from bad to worse. And we got to the point where even the police stations were, no longer functional. No police, arrangement within the 26 communities in the local government. And it went on like that. The communities became even a ghost town with no economic activities. Nothing was going on. People went into hiding, living in fear, and that's how bad it came.
So how did it get to this point? Because you mentioned that the security architecture, like the vigilante, was disbanded by this team. How serious is it? How could they be so strong, to carry out such act with such effrontery and audacity?
What happened was when they came in, it came in as a structure under the existing, IPOB, like a security network that they were functioning with. Like I said before, it was resisted in Abia State. They came into that community and they stayed. Now, what happened was they took advantage of the vulnerability of the youths. That's number one. There was so many. And then we sat down and said, no, this will no longer continue. What do we do? And, and after a series of discussions and meetings, communique was issued, and the resolution was brought about, the formation of Odemma Orsu initiatives, which its structure represents representatives from all the communities within the local government. Now, the first thing we did as advocates was to, speak to the people about these things and to let them know. In fact, we appealed to the people involved in it, the young men who were involved. It wasn't our duty. We are not the security of lives and properties is actually the business of government, but someone had to speak. We appeal to them, give them time. Please, if you're not from our community and you're here carrying out these acts of criminality and all, please leave the community. And if you're from the community, please embrace, the amnesty program. This is an amnesty program that we continue to discuss with government about, and we got approval. And special thanks to the Executive Governor of Imo State, the distinguished Senator Hope Uzodimma, for approving and for seeing us through, the process of this amnesty. The amnesty recorded certain level of success. We had so many of them surrender their arms, surrender, some of the things, and they came and they were profiled by the DSS, and then all those things calmed down to an extent. But then, it's not something they easily give up on. some of their leaders and those who are the main elements there who, were shaken by the efforts we made, went back, and then there was more like a rebound. They came even back worse, destroying more properties. Everyone who has spoken, everyone who was involved in the process, they went after persons. And that was the time when we cried out to the state actors, particularly the DSS in the initial stage, to say, please, if nothing is done now, we wiped out of existence. And then special thanks to Mr. Wilcox, the former director of the DSS in Imo State. He took it very personal, came out, all out, him and his gallant men. Right. And then they came into the local government, and that brought some level of control. All right, Mr. Ezeh, we'll continue from there, talking about these efforts to resist the mayhem as it is. We'll take a moment now. When we come back, that conversation continues. Please stay with us. Well, thank you so much for staying with us. We're talking about the situation in the southeast, Imo State in particular, and Orsu local government area, where we understand that about 300 people have actually been, killed as a result of insecurity in that area. My guest is the head media and publicity of the OOI, that's the Odemausu initiative. All right. So before the break, Ezeh, you were talking about, some efforts, that the OI has done, of course, in collaboration with government. Talk to us about the amnesty program. When was it launched? Like, how many people surrendered at that time before the, rebound, like you put it? Yeah, we had, I cannot authoritatively confirm the number of persons, but we had them more than 50 persons. We had the first phase. Some persons, a lot of them stayed away from it, not too sure what the outcome would be. We had a second phase where we had a number of them still coming. And to be honest with you, it was something we left open for quite some time. That's because we were more interested in getting them to, hands off. And then when we became very difficult, we reached out to government for more intensive, action that will help curb this thing and bring, absolute control. And we're very happy when and sometime in February, we had a joint task force of men of the Army, the DSS, and the Civil Defense coming as a joint task force then into the local government. They moved around, they did quite a number of things that helped to curtail, what was going on. But then what pleased us the most was in March, 7th of July, the Joint Task Force moved in to the most dreaded, the much talked about Mother Valley. Talking about here? We're talking about 2024. Okay. So the Joint Task Force moved into the Mother Valley. That's where the bulk of the issue is. It's around that axis. It was more like a no-go area. We didn't even know how to address, getting into that place. Assessing it was a big problem. We didn't know what to do. But then when the Joint Task Force came in on the 7th of March, we were so happy when they dislodged everything that was there. The Mother Valley was destroyed. A whole lot were recovered there, ammunitions, guns, explosives, properties, and so much. It was so bad. Why we got some of them, but the bad news there was that some of those criminal elements actually made a way to neighboring communities in Anambra State. But the beauty of it was that we were able to, the much talked about Mother Valley, where this guy is, considered as the supreme headquarters for their criminal activities, was actually, bombed, burnt down and scattered. But the problem we have, Deshola, is that when these things happen, they went into neighboring communities. There was no collaborative effort between both states. So it became a safe haven for them to just run out, rearrange themselves, and then, came back to attack. And apart from that, we have a problem with explosive devices that are planted almost everywhere around communities in Orsu. In Awidemili, in Orsu, we still have a lot of IEDs buried in certain locations. Not too long ago, a woman died in a farm, not knowing there were explosives. If you watch some of the videos that we put out during the press conference, you'll see where some of the security operatives were using their hands to try to remove some. So the appeal here, Deshola, is to the Chief of Army Staff. We want bomb experts to move in quickly into us before more casualties will be recorded, to help us in getting these things out. And if you ask me, yes, please, what we consider as the solution, we've expressed, well, I don't know if I've said that before, but the governor has done quite a lot. The new local government chairman has just announced a curfew, dusk to dawn, 7 p.m. to 6 a.m. That's helping us with investigations and, you know, pinpointing. It's on for now. It's just there. We're just watching. We're trying to use that as a measure for security operatives to see ways of, you know, carrying out their investigations. But the appeal to the state government, one, is to find ways of collaborating with the Anambra state government. We need collaboration from both ends. Because for anything, and Anambra state yes, because it goes as much as Lilu. Lilu is in Anambra state. Imbosi is in Anambra state. Ezeh is in Anambra state. And then from here we have Amanogu, we have Umuhuakabia, we have Amaruru, we have the likes. So it's something that should happen simultaneously. We need to bring in these state actors at the same time, do a proper head search, do heavy bombardment, and most importantly, set up more security, you know, bases. We have about 7 security bases and scattered around areas in the community, but there are some very new strategic positions like in Amaruru, in Orsu, and some other areas. We just need those bases. And then we need CCTV cameras, we need equipment, and then we need quite a lot from the state government. And we've put out a letter across to them, and we're hoping that the same vein, he has been doing so much, and we hope he will do more to help bring this to a total standstill. All
right, so somehow it can be inferred that, you know, it's like the issues, the development is actually underreported. So is it that the community has not really been, you know, sharing information with journalists, with the media to actually project this such that it can get the eyeballs, you know, for action?
Well, I would not blame the community. As chairman of the Media and Publicity Committee, I have reached out to media houses. I want to give it, not because I'm here, but kudos to TVC for, it's the second time the TVC is creating a platform for us to have this conversation. I have been here before to talk about it in its early stage. In fact, I was here with the Attorney General of the state. He was the co-speaker, co-guest with me on the program, and we talked about this. At that time, it was already bad, but it hadn't gotten, there were destruction of properties, but now it got worse to an extent. But after, you know, the action of the state actors and the efforts that we are putting, it may interest you to know that Odimo also has invested hundreds of millions in this, supporting, ensuring, bringing up structures to help, you know, bring this to control. And we are not asking for too much. There's so much that needs to be done. A lot has been done already. But if nothing is done, if we give these boys the room to get back into action in those communities, it'll be worse than before. And the things that we need to do, set up more bases, create an architectural structure, a security structure that can sustain the tempo of the peace measures or the efforts that have been brought in, and then get us to have collaborative measures between the state governor in Anambra State is doing so much in the area of security. The state governor in Imo State is doing his own bit. What we need is collaborative measures along those border towns and those border communities to ensure that there is no lapse. Recently, there was something that happened in Ihiala. Ihiala is in Anambra State. There was more like a massacre where lives were lost. The same thing happened in Imo State. But there were collaborative measures. There will be nowhere for those criminals to run to after perpetrating those crimes. Thank you.
All right. So can you quantify the losses that have been incurred in, you know, all through this, especially for you as an individual, and of course also threat to life?
Well, it's when I hear the figure 300, it's laughable. Because that alone is not as much as what you have scattered around in the Mother Valley and all those places where or the pits where people are buried alive. We have people, in the past 4 years, we've had people die in their thousands. So many unreported deaths. You go into the forest, you go into the valleys, people are kidnapped, killed on the daily. There was a time when these things were happening every day. It's that bad, Deshala, because earlier today, when if you're privy to get contents of the press, the World Press Conference that we had, some members of the executives of Odimo also broke down in tears. In fact, one member of the Security Committee, whose uncle was beheaded and buried without a head, he just died 4 days ago. And these things happen there's no day we don't have up to 4 or 5 killings. And so quantifying it as 300 in the last 4 years, when I have not even visited my village in the last 4 years, is laughable. So when I told the ladies and gentlemen of the press that the situation is critical. And when I say critical, extremely critical. Lives have been lost. A lot of people are traumatized. Business activities crippled. Practically nothing is happening. We don't have a functional police station there. We don't have a functional clinic. Nothing is happening. I'm battling with emotions as I speak to you. And it's that bad in that local government. And these are Nigerians. So the call is to the president, the call is to the governor to continue to do more, the call is to the chief of army staff, the call is to the leadership of all the, the state actors, the law enforcement agencies. Please, please, please come to the aid of Orsu local government before we go extinct. It's that bad.
And as to wrap up, what is your mission in Lagos?
All right. Well, for me, I live and do business in Lagos, but apart from being the head of media and publicity of Orsu, I am the vice president of the Orsu Local Government Area Development Union here in Lagos, which brings together all the Orsu indigenes in Lagos. I was born and raised here in Lagos, and I speak the language. So that's me, but then we all have where we come from. I am from Orsu in Imo State. My hometown is in Orsu, and we can't sit back and watch our community go extinct. The situation is terrible, and we need the media to drive this conversation. That's the only way attention can be drawn to what's happening. That's the only way what needs to be done will be done. And I'm looking forward. The press conference we had today had quite a number of media houses, with the presence of TVC and the likes. And I'm hoping that these conversations will continue. We're open to, we've actually asked the media houses, anyone who wants to have an exclusive, coverage, detailed coverage of what's happening in Orsu local government, who would give guidance, and if they come home to see things firsthand, they should like, it's terrible and something has to be done.
All right then, so you have made the appeal, and we're sure that, everyone concerned also is listening. We can only wish, your community respite at this critical time. Emeka Ezeh is the head media and publicity of Odema Orsu initiative. Thank you very much for sharing with us on the program.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, that's our program today. Watch a repeat broadcast at midnight and at 6 a.m. I am Abosedi Adenewa Duremi. Do have a very pleasant weekend.